Committee of the SAC. And we have, are we all called to order then?
Matthew?
And we have, take attendance, Matthew, who takes attendance usually, Susan?
Here, I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you. Okay, I'm taking it for you.
Okay. And Robin, I want to thank you for attending. We know you're very, very busy this time of year, and so it really is truly appreciated.
So Tom is waiting in the lobby. Should I just admit him? I can't.
Tom's here.
Josh.
And then Joshua Martin.
Are they all on? There's Tom and Josh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning.
Okay.
I'm here. I just had a call and an issue pop up, so I'm just gonna step off quick.
Okay. All right. So I have attendance, and I'll try to remember.
Okay.
Come in.
So this is a public meeting, and the public is allowed to call. They can call it a call-in number, or they can access it through Teams. I'd like to know if there's any members of the public that would like to announce their presence or would like to make any comments as we start. I don't see any members of the public, so what we'll do is we'll move on. Just in general, as always, I want to thank Brian for sending us out these little tidbits. What I was working on this morning, for those who haven't been familiar with the whole process, I kind of put together, you probably haven't seen it yet, that's what I was working on while I was trying to log in. I put together a little primer for people how to access bills and how to do the links. So you could go to the, I set it all out in an email. So look for an email from me. I won't go through it, but it'll tell you how to go to the bills and how you can add it to My Bills, and you will get updates and the different tabs you can use. And what I do is I will, what I've done is I go into the Connecticut General Assembly, and you go into the bill search, and there'll be like phrases or search terms. And I'll type in things like I did the other day, like I typed in like restraint, or I typed in autism or special education, or, things of those nature, education, even a paraeducator or whatever. And you'll come to a whole list of bills that come up with that. Then when you go to some of the advanced bills and you get the number, you can type it in, you'll be brought to a page that'll allow you to track the bill's history. I just wanted to let people know that these tools are here, and you can do what's called a add to My Bills, and you can create a running inventory of the bills that you wish to follow. So that's something that we can all do. Just wanted to, I kind of put that out there, anybody could share it with anybody. It also, when you get to those tabs, it'll also bring you to the public hearing testimony. All right, so as to the bills of interest, got us a slew from Brian last night. Previously, the bills that we had, there weren't really all that many that were, as far as substance goes. There was what you'll have, and Robin can confirm this, at this stage, you'll see a bunch of bills that'll say, oh, we'd like to have the Connecticut State Department of Education conduct a survey of schools, or something, just as plain as that. That's nothing that we can really do a deep dive onto. There also is a bunch of bills that are dealing with the excess cost grant funding, and I don't know if everybody is familiar with what that is. We have Dimpy is asking to be let in. Okay. What I did in another email, and I could send it out again to everybody, is there was some explanatory links that I found there telling everybody what the excess cost grant funding is. Basically, what that says is school districts have a per capita amount that they spend on students. And if a particular school district spends 4.5 times more than the per capita amount, they could seek to get some reimbursement for the excess funding. So, for example, if the typical student, the per capita is $10,000, 4.5 times that would be $45,000. And if they've sent a kid for special education for 50,000, they should be able to seek reimbursement for the balance of the 5,000. However, that complete funding has not been there. That's always been a question about how they fund it. And last year there was the bill, and I think I sent it to everybody. I think it was 23-1. And they created a tier system of how they were going to allocate the funding. Anyhow, those are just some things that I wanted to let people know that are just kind of putting their toe into the water of the legislative process, which I am not completely familiar with. The reason why I got onto that talk about the excess cost funding is a lot of the bills at this stage seem to be just all about funding, saying, hey, we need to fund special education, et cetera.
Could I talk a little bit quickly to that?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm in a little district, East Haddam, right? And so we were at the lower tier. I think it was 86%, 83% in the tier. Because of the underfunding of it, now we're being told that instead of that amount, we're only looking at 68%. So in our little district, that's about an $84,000 difference. And so what I know that what the bill is, I believe, is looking to do is get it back up to those threshold amounts that, and I think there was like a $40 million difference in that. And I could be a little off on that last number, but it was, I think at the state side, I mean, given that they're talking about billions of dollars versus, that's a pretty big hit to a small district, and to larger districts, they're looking at hundreds of thousands, if not millions.
Yeah, definitely.
Jeff, so
Yes.
are we and actually Representative Comey, if you can help us with this, should we be saying that we're in support of the bills that we're in support of now, and with a point that like Josh made, that if it's not passed, then this is going to be a huge hit to special education in the smaller districts?
Just so I know, is this
5094.
Yes. So for everybody's general
Oh, Brian's got his
information,
hand up. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Oh, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, hey folks, I apologize. I'm in the car at the moment, but the State Department of Education has done a presentation for excess costs for the Board of Ed as well as for the Ed Committee, and there's a slide deck that I think is really helpful to help people understand. And Josh just described a little bit about the tiers and the total amount of funds. If you recall, during our legislative breakfast, there was some questions around the excess cost. There was actually additional funds appropriated to excess cost last year, but because of the number of students and the cost of students that were eligible for that grant, districts actually received less, even though there was a significant increase in funds. And so it is a capped fund that once the that ceiling is hit, there, as Josh mentioned, the districts would receive lower amounts based on those percentages. So I'm just mentioning that because this is very early in the legislative process, and there are some bills around funding. But Susan, there's nothing at this point that I'm aware of to be in favor of or not. But I thought what was helpful, in previous years for this group was to take a look at the language that's being proposed in the district, and then, to your point, Susan, having is the SAC as a whole, as an entity, either in favor as the language is written, neutral, or are there issues or concerns with the bill that's proposed? And I think all of those pieces are important. component. So that's all I just wanted to say. If it's helpful to this group, on our next meeting, I can go through those slides quickly as the process moves forth with the excess cost bill, if there are any adjustments.
So thank you, Brian. I'm not a huge expert on the funding mechanisms, so I'd probably be less helpful as specifics go. The bill that you just mentioned, Susan, is a bill that is proposed by Kara Rochelle, Representative Rochelle, whose districts have been consistently underfunded. It is not scheduled for a public hearing. So I don't know if it's, we can't submit testimony, I guess is the point. So last Wednesday, we did have as Jeff sort of described it, a big picture bill. And I think it was just like a bill about funding, something like that. And we had people, testify from all over the state saying, for instance, principals, superintendents, and also teachers and advocates who said, yes, we need more funding, right? And this is why. It's impacting students, it's this, that, and this. It is helpful at this point to make specific suggestions if there is some language, right? Or and there are many vehicles, not just, I think you said 5490, to do that. So for instance, the last Wednesday's funding bills. And you can, suggest, sometimes you say, I agree with it, much like Brian was saying, I agree with it in, in concept and overall concept, but these are the changes that would be helpful to, pursue, to get our groups, what we focus on moved forward. And also, so I guess that, I don't think we should sit back and wait, but we need to keep an eye on what is being proposed within the Education Committee and maybe Finance Committee appropriations. Appropriations would have been a great place to have our voice heard collectively, because it's all about the money. And they had the education and elementary and secondary, or whatever it was, presentation maybe a week and a half ago. So sometimes it's helpful just to check out the public testimony that is already posted and see what other folks are saying, and then, create a sort of concise position for us as a group, or also, showing up and testifying this is the time. We only probably have another week and a half, maybe, depending on the committee's deadline, couple of weeks, for public hearings. I think on education, I have maybe, I would have to check, but not that many more, maybe 2 more public hearings, and then we're not raising any. And yes, all the bills this year have to do with funding. There's no program, there's no, because it's a short session, it's always just about funding. I don't know if that's helpful, sort of big picture stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Robin. I think it's super helpful. And again, I just put it in the chat, that particular bill you're talking about, 5212, which was the education just education funding one. And there's a bazillion pieces of testimony from people on it. So, and you know, I know we know this from the past. It's like it happens overnight. Like it's like if anything comes up, and right now there's not a lot. Like she said, there's not a lot coming up. It's all just this funding stuff, everything. And if it's not a public hearing, can't say anything anyway. So no matter what we feel. So you got to find your spot. So if that's a spot, cool. We'll still get the voice in there. And there was one. So anyway, and that's not special education. That was just all education funding, right? So there's lots of people saying, but to your point, Robin, I think it's important that if there's a specific point we make, everyone's saying, give us more money. Like everyone, all those testimonies are saying, give us more money. We need more money. So that's cool. We can jump on that bandwagon. But if you can say like, because of this with special education and this, which is hard to write that refined message in such short order with 27 stakeholders, you know, sort of thing. But to the extent we can do that like today, write that and get it in like Monday, like you have to get it in quick. So that's the other thing is like time is usually of the essence on these things.
And am I able to share my screen? Yeah.
I think so.
If you just,
What are you trying to share?
Robin's doing that,
The
you know,
top
so-
right-hand side, next to the leave button.
yeah, okay, okay, screen. All right,
There
do
you
you
go.
see that agenda?
Yep, we see bills for review.
Bills for review. So this is Wednesday's public hearing in education. As you can see, they're working with an act concerning paraeducators. So if I click on this act concerning paraeducators, I can go here. You can read about it. I won't go add ARPA funds to professional development, health savings account. And so, you know, we could, and then you click right here and you have the bill. So you can, it's 40 pages. Yikes. The public hearing is scheduled for the 6th. So you go here. We don't have the testimony's not up, but if anybody wanted to testify, or we wanted to advocate people to testify, paraeducators, for instance, it's a little bit roundabout, and if this is not helpful, please let me know and I will stop it. But I just went to committees, and I went to the education committee. I went to the drop down here, and then it will tell you how to upload public hearing testimony here. And also, I'm going to show you one other. I'm
Robin,
sorry,
before you leave that
yeah.
page. Oh,
Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead. I'll go back.
Okay, so go back. So what I was just going to say, so if you get to the education committee,
Yeah.
all right, then scroll up or down, whatever you want to say. So, okay, so if you, so where it says bill record book, just so everybody knows, if you click on that, the top entry there, yeah. And that'll tell you all the bills that have been referred to the education committee. So not just the ones that are coming, so you can look to see those, and then you could pick from those, like, oh, this one might be of interest. And then, like you said, you can go over to the public hearing agenda, and you'll see on March 6th, which is coming up. But this is good to see because this is a broader picture of all the bills they might be considering.
But strangely, why is that paraeducator one not on that list, Robin? That's weird to me. If you scroll down, the paraeducator one, I don't know, whatever, you just had it pulled up. It was 53 something or whatever. But it was March 6th. But look, there's no dates there for March 6th. It's all just next week or this past week.
So I have
this
actually
list is
never
weird.
been to this page.
Yeah, this page is weird. What's the page you just like, that list you just had? Where'd you come up with that list? Or is that something you guys internally use?
What's that?
No, you could actually access that. If you go to the education committee, you can get to where there's the public hearing tab, And that'll show you. So there, it showed that there was a hearing on February 21st, February 28th, and March 6th.
All
Yeah,
right,
so
so
you
let's
go,
see.
you hit that agenda.
Oh, all right. So then it's down there. It's at that public hearing agendas tab. Okay.
Yes, yes. You go to
All
that
right.
and that'll come up with the ones.
And
Yeah,
and I
because that other
just,
list. Okay,
yeah.
I see it. I see it now.
and I would caution you to not to spend as a individual and as a group, us not to spend too much time looking at bills that are not going to be considered.
Right.
Just because somebody put forward a bill, it does not, it's up to the committee leadership to decide whether we have enough time for it this year, whether, anything like this. I just want to show you one more spot that's really important. And then I'll shut up. But here's the Connecticut. I'm just going to go right back to the main page, cga.ct.gov. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to show you this bulletin. See this bulletin thing? 3-1. That's today's bulletin. And every day it changes. And at the top here, you can go. So next week, I'll hit on public hearings. And you can see today, it will go here. Fridays. Look at all the, today's judiciary is just a really big, so probably just, that's good. That's just, but okay, Public Health Committee, they have a public hearing today and those are the bills. What's important to know, and then as we scroll down, we can see Wednesdays and I will just, there's Tuesday, banking, here's Committee on Children on Tuesday. Here is the education. Oh, I'll actually just I can just hit public hearings and then, sorry. Tuesday, education right here. Okay, this is the committee meeting. This is not, oh no, this is the public hearing. So this is the directions on how to sign up to speak and to register to speak, and the directions, the specific directions, and you can read through this on your own time. I won't. But you have to sign up before 3 p.m. on the day before say Tuesday, March 5th, 3 p.m. is the deadline to sign up if you want to testify in person or via Zoom. You can always submit written testimony, and you can do that right here. That's all I'm going to say. So,
and usually what's the deadline for written, Robin? It's like,
there's really none because we always review
as it comes in.
So say that bill, the one we heard last Wednesday, makes it, which it probably will, make it to the floor. It will evolve, right? The bill changes. That's why you don't see a lot of sponsors on it, because co-sponsors, because we don't know what the bill's going to be yet. Because we do that based on feedback from the public hearings, from advocates, from committees, things like that. So that will, so then when people have to vote on it and they don't sit on the committee, they are always looking at that testimony, the written testimony. That's what they're doing in the chambers when they're looking at their computers and we're voting on bills. They'll say, oh, what does the Connecticut Association of School Superintendents say about that bill? What does, the CSDE, what is, so that sort of thing.
Just as a precautionary tale on that, though, I remember last year when there was the restraint and seclusion, and we had put together some written testimony and we sent it to the education committee. And for the life of us, we couldn't find it posted anywhere. We didn't really know if they ever received it. You would go to the public testimony, the written testimony. We never found it. I don't know if we ever got an answer as to how that would ever happen. But I would just say that.
That's why you have to go through that online submission form. I would think. So.
Yeah, I believe we had done that, but we'll do it that. It was odd, but eventually we got what we wanted. We got on the restraint and seclusion thing, we wanted to have further study, and we also were able to foist Susan Yankee upon the task force. So Yes.
All
right.
I know
So-
we're talking about bills. Representative Comey, have you seen anything about what we had discussed at the speed date changing the wording for when you have to get a message sent home after a restraint and seclusion incident to be changed to the day of? Have you seen anything about that?
I have not, but I'm happy to ask Representative Curry. So you spoke with Representative Curry about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And how the notification is, and I can send you the language. And at
Yes,
our
please.
SAC meeting that we had the other day, Jeff, you said that we should change the wording to include text, right?
Yeah, so just an FYI, prior to this meeting, what I did was I had reached out to the members of the education committee, both to the co-chairs, including Jeff Curry. We also happen to have in Norwalk here 2 local representatives who are on the education committee, so I reached out to them as well to have the personal touch, and I got it. And I basically introduced myself that I'm still doing this, and if there's anything of interest, let us know so we can weigh in on it and get our feedback. I received a response from Representative Curry on Tuesday, and it's very brief. He said, "Afternoon, we likely may have one proposal this year to address the notification to a parent/guardian if/when restraint and seclusion occurs. The language proposed would change 24 hours to same day. Other than that, we are eagerly awaiting the 2025 recommendations from the task force." That's what he had said. That's when Susan, I got back to you about the speed date, and what I wanted to do was I wanted to respond to him and to put some ideas to him regarding that same day notification, but I didn't feel it was me to do individually. That's why I wanted to wait for today's meeting right now to get some input from you guys.
Right. And the task force canceled their last meeting, so I don't know how they're going to get the recommendations because we haven't finished going through them. And Representative Comey said that there's only like a week or 2 left.
So my thoughts on the notification, there's 2 things. There's the temporal thing, should it be same day or 24 hours? And then there's a means, method, and mode of communication. So I think we all agree that we want to go in favor of the same day, quote unquote, same day. And it's a question of means, method, and mode. Also, when you're talking about notice, is that actually posting the notice or notice received? Okay, so for example, if they said, "Oh yeah, well we sent a letter out, we sent a letter home or something like that, and we put it in the mail." "Oh well, we gave you the notice the same day." I think that we want to kind of address that. I think that what we should have, and I don't. So you guys are more into the field right now than I am because my son has been out for a while. But it would seem to me that we should have something where the parents can list at the outset of their special education journey the method by which they wish to receive communication and also the primary language they would like to receive it in if possible. And then when we say same day, it would be using the method selected by the parent. How does it work now? I don't know, maybe Jennifer or whomever is like in the field right now, and Joshua, you would probably know better than anybody. Do the parents at the outset of the whole process say, "This is the method by which I wish to receive communication"?
So usually they will identify like the ways in which we can communicate with them. Like they'll give us their phone numbers and they'll give us their email addresses. And then usually through our conversations with parents, we know which one is a more the method they prefer. There's no like formal selection, but at least in our district, but like we know that we have some parents who would prefer to receive certain information via email, and we have some parents who would prefer to receive certain information via our Parent Square process, but they don't have anything specific, like no specific function or process to say, in these situations, please use this means, in these situations, please use that means. I do want to, one thing that is in my head around the 24-hour notice is that us calling and parents' voicemail boxes full? Did we comply with that? Or are we going to be hanging around until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, continuing to try to reach and call parents, only to continue to get either a voicemail not set up or voicemail box full? Because that does happen more frequently than you would imagine.
I would suggest that what we could do is, rather than being so specific as to identify, we could say that there should be same-day contact using the preferred method of communication selected by the parent. Some word as general as that, not getting into the nitty-gritty about how they do the selection, but we could say, same-day notification using the preferred method of communication selected by the parent. And I'm happy to put that together to Representative Comey. I also had mentioned at the meeting that we have also, in addition to leaving a voicemail, it might be good for the parent. We could say in parentheses, including supplemental text message, text messaging. If you guys are okay with that, would it be okay with you guys if I put together some language like that to respond to Representative Comey?
Yeah, you got a lot of hands up. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm not used to running this, Susan. I'm sorry. So let's go. Dimpy's got 2 hands up. I'm sorry. Dimpy, I'm sorry for not seeing that. My fault. I thought you were just like slapping me in
No,
the face.
No, I was just talking about, like, I had to step away. I had a call from doctor. So, but I heard what Joshua was saying, and I was thinking, like, almost that can be put like preferred method and email so that the message doesn't get lost in the communication system. Something like that. That's what I was thinking. Like preferred method and an email.
I think that's a great idea, Dimpy, because then also you have a record of when it was sent.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Goviana, sorry.
That's okay. I was just gonna say, I think it's important to keep the record, right? To make sure that we're making attempts to make that contact with the parent, whether it's the phone call, whether it's the email and the text, then at least the parent has been notified via 3 different ways, and then the district has their communication, their documentation that, hey, we've tried, we've just been unable to contact the parent, but there is that documentation for the district and the parent to see it in multiple ways.
I agree with that. I think it's good having a record, and frankly, that protects both people, because rather than saying, like what Joshua was saying, that they get many times they may have called and got a full mailbox, and the parent will say, "You never notified me." Well, yeah, we couldn't because of the full mailbox. But if you sent out the email, and probably the school district would probably be smart enough to sit there and say that, we've attempted to reach you by voicemail. We have unable to. We have a full mailbox with the notice, and so they have a record. So that's a door that swings both ways and is protected to both sides, I think.
And other idea is, Jeff, a lot of school districts are using Power School or some kind of communication system. So if it can be put into that would also be great, because then you have record through and through in education system itself. So I don't know if that is a good idea or not.
Yeah, all of those are good. And then what you get down to the issue is, do you want to encumber the legislation with all the minutia, or do you want to make it, more broad and then let them pick it, So, so I think that we say preferred method with, as well as, written documentation, some sort. I'll come up with some language, but maybe not into the minutia of the method of the written documentation, if that's okay with everybody. Okay. All right,
there's
so
more questions, Jeff.
Sure.
There's a lot more questions. The hands are up. Jennifer's next, and then me, and then Anna.
Thank you. I was just going to say this, what you said, kind of, Jeff, like to not make it so detailed. And I can share the notes from our meeting our like ad hoc meeting that we had, or the work group that had some of the details in it, because we did try to make it specific but broad. And we talked about documenting the attempts, just like you would for scheduling the PPT meeting with a family. If you've made multiple attempts to try to get them to be able to come to the meeting and they're not responding to you, it's similar documentation. But I wouldn't get hung up on all these little details this early in the game. And I think, to Josh's point, it's important to think about, both sides of the documentation, the parents, the parents' rights to be notified in a timely manner, and then how easy or difficult it is for the district and trying to not be the ones dictating the specifics of the bill.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, so if you could send it to me, that would be awesome. I appreciate it. All right, so then Anna, what your comments, please?
Yes, pretty much. And am I the? Oh, yes, I am next. Pretty much what Jennifer said. It's like, I think that kind of language, preferred method of communication, and in my experience, I know exactly what Joshua is saying. But in my experience, but that is that relationship with a parent and that trust building. Yeah, I did. Yeah, you said you wanted to be called. We did try calling, and usually it is kind of like a give and take, and it's a trust issue. But I do like the documentation via email, and maybe that doesn't need to be in the legislation, but the schools just may want to do that just to have that documentation.
Yeah, that might be best practice for their own protection.
Best practice, exactly.
Okay.
And I mean, just from experience, I know we had one restraint where we did all this stuff, but we didn't quite document it, or there were questions about it wasn't documented in a report in CTSEDS, and I got a phone call, but I was able to give, this phone call, then that was this phone call, then that was this phone call. And the parent was very, very aware. So, Sean said, oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So let's do that. Jennifer, you could send me that. I'll put together some language. It's not going to be like a final form thing. So a lot of times before I send something out, I will run things by everybody, and before we actually do written testimony, we always send it through the executive board. But if everybody's okay, I'm just going to do kind of an informal. Yes, Robin?
Okay.
Her hands up.
Sorry. So I'm going to legal policy, the lawyers will revise it and specify it based on their experience, with their other kinds of, like, they've written things in this manner, in a multitude of sort of policies over their time. So as folks said, I wouldn't get, just say, hey, they will write the policy, just give the lawyers who are working for the committee, just say, yes, we want it to be notified, the preferred parent way, the in writing, email, and what, in the language of, the preferred language is also, I think, important to note. And, consistency if you have other sort of policies that align with this. But I wouldn't, we don't have to get too specific because it is general policy, and we want to make sure that the lawyers will take care of the nitty gritty. So you don't have to worry about that.
We're going to give them just the broad strokes about what we want, and they'll do the fine points. So I get that. All right, let me ask, I have some other competing things I have to get to. Let me just ask, that's, I think, is the only one that we're going to address at this point, unless anybody has something else that they want to address. That's the one. Yes, Anna?
It would help if I unmute. So the para-educator one, I did look at that one, and I would have a lot of questions about it because I don't know if this is just for Title I and Title schools that receive Title funds, Title I and II funds, or because I don't know if it's for private schools. It does say regional and local and regional, but it does not say anything about private schools. And do we need to do anything about that? Do we need to weigh in on that?
I didn't really get a chance to look at the whole bill. I don't know if everybody else, I just saw, the blurb that I saw, they were gonna make sure that the name was changed from paraprofessional to paraeducator. I didn't know if there was anything more of substance. I'm sorry,
Oh,
I
there's a
apologize.
lot. There's
Okay,
a
I
lot
didn't get
in
a
it.
chance to look at it. I didn't get a chance to look at it.
Which I'm in full support of the bill. There should be, because truly, when you think about it, it's paraeducators that are working with our students. You know, they're assisting the teacher, and they have more hands-on with kids. It's very important to look at everything there and to provide professional development. And I'm in full support about a lot of things in there. The only thing is that it may end up being one of those unfunded mandates, because there is a minimum salary, and if privates are not included, it's you know, again, the tuition will have to go up. So you know, I think it would be good to take a look at this one, and I think that is up for hearing.
It is. The public hearing is Wednesday. So what you want to do as a private school operator, or you and your team over there, would be to say, this is appropriate, this is something I agree with, and these are parts that I don't agree with, or this is what I want to see changed. So this is the time to do it. The public hearing is
right.
the time.
Okay, so we will
want to do that in writing. It's more effective if you come and you sign up and you testify in person, or, you know, over Zoom. But
yeah.
Okay, then Joshua, you wanted to speak?
Yeah, so I just want to raise, so Bill 5213, Act Concerning Disconnected Youth, that had a public hearing, I believe, yesterday or Wednesday. And I think this is something that we might want to take a look at, as it, one of the pieces that for a school district that really caught my eye is for kids who are chronically absent. We're trying to support them. And currently, one of the ways that we support them, and through legislation, is to reach out to the local Youth Services Bureau. But we can't do that without parent permission. And so we have had many situations where parents don't provide that permission, and therefore a really valuable resource in supporting students and families helping their kids get back into and connected to the school isn't available without that permission. So it's something that we might want to take a look at, because I know the chronic absenteeism rate among students with special education needs is far higher than any other population.
Okay,
I think that's
so-
what the bill is dealing
Josh,
with, Josh. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You go ahead. Because I know SAC we've discussed this probably before, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're addressing it. Okay, sorry, Representative Cohen.
All right, so let's do this, and I apologize, I have another meeting to get to. So what I understand is, I think we could look further into the 5213. I don't feel, we could look further into the paraeducator one. And of course, Anna, you've been told that, you know, you, on behalf of your private enterprise, your private school, you're certainly allowed to do, and that was Representative Kobe gave us that nice link, which is good for you to do, to submit that, okay? But for the purposes of the SAC, what I can do is throw together something in general terms without too much specificity to let the fine point being done by the legal team, is to raise the issue about, yes, we are in favor of having its same day notification. Two other points would be, upon the preferred method of communication by the parent, we can leave it as blank as that, and also using the preferred language of the parent. How would that be with those, just make it a general point? Would that be fine with everybody? Okay, so let's do that. And then the next thing on our agenda, and I apologize, I do have to get to another meeting. The scheduling of the committee meetings from April to May. Do we want to leave it at, what we've done in the past is we put it on the calendar as a save your space thing. And then if we have bills we need to talk about, we go forward. If we don't, and what Jolie will do is she will publish the agenda on the Wednesday. It'll be just general to discuss legislation, bills, like this one was bills of interest related to special education.
Jeff, I just want to mention that I would need confirmation each week that we are going to meet, so I can
Yeah,
post that agenda.
Okay, that's fine. So what we'll do
Okay,
is,
just if there's kind of like before, like if there's enough to discuss, we'll just all I need is a couple words. We're meeting or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I want to
Okay.
meet, and I'll go ahead and post that. But I will always have an agenda ready for you,
okay.
and yep, ready to go.
Jolie, would it be possible for you to then do like a poll of the members of the committee by Tuesday so you would know?
Okay, I can certainly do the follow up weekly and check to see if we're going to be meeting. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah, if you could, that'd be awesome.
Perfect. I'll do that.
I think we should meet weekly for the next couple weeks and then have maybe a few weeks in April off. And then because we do take a downtime in April with April vacation and things like that. And then we get back for the last 2 weeks in May.
Okay, so
I
do you
mean, the
guys
last
want
2 weeks of April.
right, do you guys want to plan for, is Friday morning at 9:30? Is that good for everybody's calendar?
Generally is next Friday. I'm at a conference, but generally.
Yeah, there may be times when, but I'm good for the next couple of Fridays. So if we can do that, if we can plan on it, that would be awesome.
We can definitely do the next couple Fridays. I just want to add another give you another message. So the chances, we know Brian's schedule. Brian may not be available, so we will find that out weekly as well.
We understand that. We understand that he has a lot of puzzle pieces.
I would certainly be on with you guys, and Brian would try to make the meetings. It's just, remember last year, sometimes it changes a little, so we might.
Yes, and we appreciate when he can't show it, and also Representative Comey and everybody, as a matter of fact, so.
I don't like it.
So let's do that. I'm just saying, I've just got to run. We're having a whole office meeting of all the attorneys here, so they're all kind of like, I got an email saying we're waiting. So I'm sorry but let's do that. So can we, so the plan's going to be a rough draft of a plain, broad strokes letter to Representative Curry. I can put all you guys on a copy of. We will continue to meet on Fridays, and Jolie is going to poll on Tuesdays to make sure we have a quorum. And so is that good for everybody? Okay, so can we have a motion to adjourn? Okay, Joshua has a motion to adjourn, and it's seconded by Dimpy.
Second.
All right, we're Representative Comey, both of you guys, a tie goes to the, all right, so, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Everybody
Aye.
have a great weekend, okay?
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Happy March. If anybody says rabbit the first thing in the first day of the month like I do, then rabbit to everybody. That's an old fashioned something that we've done in my family forever. All right, bye.